The man with the red flag goes off to the side and we're about to go racing. It's going to be red lights. They're going to go out and it's tally-ho and away we go with the British Talent Cup. Again, the penultimate round here at BRNO. What a start that was from Fenton. Seabright just coming up behind him. Brian Hart alongside him got a good start as well. Reese Irwin is there too. But who is going to get the shot into the first corner? Looks like it's Seabright from your championship leader, Scott Ogden.
Yeah, great nerve there from Scott Ogden to move up into second. Exactly what he will have wanted to do and not too risky. You saw Seabright obviously with a bit of a gap there. That means that he really did push into that first corner, but it's paid off, got a little bit of clear out. And of course, when you're leading a race like this, it means you're not getting a face full of spray from the bike ahead of you.
Absolutely not. Looks like Brian Hart's managed to slot into third place, the man who really dominated free practice here yesterday. Oh, look at that. That is an absolute disaster for Harry Lee there. Coming out of pit lane just now. His race is unfortunately over before it's even started. Well, you never know. It might be a race of attrition. You might pick up a couple of points, but my goodness, any hopes he had of any sort of special result are gone.
Yeah, most definitely. Always awful luck when you get that, especially when you're about to see the lights go out and then forced into that pit lane start. But good to see him at least able to join the race and get going. Have to see what he can do. Like we said, it could be a bit of a race of attrition this afternoon with these conditions. So all hope is not lost, but certainly a bit of a mountain to climb. And especially for these young riders, you've got to keep that mental calm a little bit to be able to keep it together and complete these laps.
Unfortunately, with 12 to 17-year-olds, I don't think calm really comes into it all that much at this early stage of racing. You've got Jack Nixon, the number 2, slotting into 4th there behind these guys. But Fenton Seabright, we saw this back at Snetterton fan in the first race. He absolutely cleared off.
He really did, yeah. He did the full early season Alvaro Bautista and cleared off into the distance. But you can see he's got a fairly comfortable gap there. And at the moment, it looks like Brian Hart is looking for a pretty quick way past Scott Ogden. We saw him threatening him a couple of corners ago. Hart, obviously, with a little bit less to lose than Ogden. So probably quite eager to have a shot at trying to nibble away at that lead and getting himself in a more comfortable podium position.
How many seriously wet races have they had so far this season, Fran? In my memory, the last couple of races had not been wet particularly at all. So these seem like not just a new track for them, but brand new conditions as well.
Yeah, it's a double challenge, this. These conditions really are pretty tough, and like we said, yeah, it's the first visit to BRNO. Bit of a calendar reshuffle earlier in the year to make this the penultimate round. So
a little bit of a twitch there for Fenton.
A little bit of a warning, although he can afford to ease off just a little bit. But Ogden then gathered it up a little bit and just managing to stay out the clutches of Brian Hart as we come around to cross the line.
Well, there is your championship leader crossing the line there, Scott Ogden. He's got to hunt down Fenton Seabright, although he's not too much of a concern. The man he's looking out for is Cameron Horseman, the number 23. And where is Horseman, Fran? They're going to be coming across the line. Our live timing's not updated at all, unfortunately, so we only had the on-screen graphics to rely on before. Can't see any. We will wait for that update. He's not in our picture here. Could he be 3rd, 4th or 5th or so? We'll have to see, but unfortunately it's a mental game between Scott Ogden and Cameron Horseman. Whoever's going to blink first, whoever's going to be that one taking the risk, the other one has to go with him. But championship leader's taking the risk. Horseman's not gone with him.
Yeah, at the moment, definitely Cameron Horseman's the guy who's lost out in these first couple of laps. Started 5th, so pretty solid day's work in qualifying, just behind Ogden. But it's Ogden who's really made some gains off the line, as we can see. Just looking for that number 23 there. We do have a little bit of live timing back now, and he was down in 12th when they went over the line. So
disaster
bit of a
that
challenge
is for him.
Now for Horseman to try and bounce back.
That is not just a disaster in terms of position, but he is way back down. He is 9.6 seconds adrift after one lap. He is clearly not a fan of these conditions one little bit. Cameron Horseman, that is a mitigated disaster. There he is in the forefront of our picture there, alongside number 5, that's Ocean Jones. Red Bull Rookies fans will know his older brother, Dan Jones.
Yeah, so you can see Horseman there getting a bit swamped, but everything can change quite quickly in the wet. Yeah, you can see the conditions from that onboard. Really difficult stuff. And obviously, that's pretty much what you'll be getting on your visor when you're trying to follow someone. It really is tough to see. Yeah, and Fenton Seabright, obviously, in the lead, just able to race his own race and none of that coming back at him. Here we go, race leader then in real clear air now. Plenty of time for him. But Horseman, it could be really, you know, it could be not too late for him. He's not dropped off so much. If he does get to grips a little bit more with the, you know, the lap times of the guys ahead of him, can close them down at least a little bit, get some solid points, because of course he really can't afford a DNF. That's the one thing to definitely try and avoid here. Even if he does lose out a bit to Ogden, all is not lost, just needs to concentrate on trying to move forward. And he is one of the most mature riders in the field, and we've seen his skill and also his incredible step up since last season and what he's achieved this year. So I'm sure he'll at least be getting a little bit more confident and getting into it as the race goes on, but certainly not the ideal start. We'll have to see if he's made any gains as we cross the line now.
Yeah, Cameron Horseman, an absolute disaster for him. I mean, this could be potentially championship over, despite with Scott Ogden's confidence levels there. Just looking at the results again, though, Cameron Horseman, he would have also, like Ogden, had full podiums or wins throughout the season had he not had that DNF at the in the 4th race of the season at the second round at Donington BSB. That is the one that really let him down here. And just bring our attention back to Fenton Seabright. You got to think with him, he is able to do this. He is able to run away with it, be absolutely clear. Some races he is just a cut above the rest, but Fenton Seabright, his lack of consistency has just got the better of him over the course of the season.
Most definitely. He has been his own worst enemy on track more than his rivals, really, has Seabright. He's obviously got a lot of speed, a lot of skill and talent, but yeah, just a few too many inconsistencies. But of course, you can more easily teach a rider to be consistent and play that mental game a little bit better and stay a bit calmer and avoid those mistakes much more than you can teach them to suddenly go a second a lap faster. So that's the good news for Seabright. Bad news, obviously, he's got quite a points deficit, but it's not as bad as the news for Cameron Horseman, who's now coming up in 16th on the graphics there on the side of your screen. So he's actually lost out more ground. I spoke too soon. Obviously, even more of a challenge for Horseman in these early stages.
What an absolute disaster for him. He's now out of the points. Just one more position and he could have, one more position higher and he could have had a singular point, but that really is a disaster for him. The good news is, for some of these guys, this race is far longer than they were ever expecting. At the best of times, it's a 2-minute 15 lap, but with 2 minutes, what lap times are we running? 2 minutes 30, 2 minutes 34 is down towards Cameron Horseman as a personal best or so. This is coming up to be, well, near Grand Prix level length in terms of time race for these kids.
Yeah, obviously when the lap times are that much longer, the race itself extends as well. So good news in that those who have had a bit of a tougher start have a little bit longer to try and fight back. But Fenton Seabright, I'm sure, will think this will be the longest race of his career. Although he does have, like we've said, quite a bit of experience of just clearing off at the front. But the pressure here, no mistakes really can you afford to make in these conditions. They will punish you immediately. So Seabright, some top concentration needed now from the number 22 to try and keep it together with, yeah, I think it's going to be well over 5 seconds over the line.
Speaking of mistakes, though, clearly Scott Ogden made a mistake coming out of the first sector, though. He lost 2 seconds on Seabright there on that lap. That was not good stuff from him. And although he has got a little bit of a gap there, he's still pretty close at the front. Who's that? That's number 17. That's Zach Shelton coming through there. We're not really seeing him up the standings too often. Where is he down in the championship? Jack Shelton.
Yeah, Zach Shelton, he was actually the second fastest man around last time, one of our rookie riders this season. But yeah, he was the second fastest man on track behind, obviously, Seabright was the quickest, the only man below the 2:30s. And then it was Ogden, even though he did lose that much time to Seabright ahead of him, it was a 2:31.2 for Ogden. So just the, you know, just the cool 1 point quite a while seconds behind Seabright's best, but nevertheless still one of the class of the field. But Shelton certainly incredibly impressive in these early stages. Yeah, we do usually say that Rain is the great leveler, and Zach Shelton, the 15-year-old, well, put it into perspective, his result last time out in Snetterton in race 2 was P13. Well, how about that for the young man from Chesterfield? 18th in the championship. Reason why I took such a long pause was because looking through every single run, I thought he's got to be higher up than that, surely. But 18th, P18 for Zach, but he's doing seriously well in this one, really hassling Jack Nixon there, who in his own respect is P4 in the championship. So really great stuff from him. Could be a one to watch next year in the British Talent Cup in its new format. Yeah, very much so. And yeah, Shelton, like we said, we've got quite a few rookies in the field this year. About half the field are new guys, and Shelton is one of them. And this is very, very impressive. But like we said, that rain does just tend to level the field, and it becomes much more about judging the conditions on the day and trying to avoid mistakes and get the most of the machine and that mythical kind of feel. But here we see then the championship as it would be if it ended like this. So 32 points Horseman would be behind. That's a pretty expensive day at the office.
Yeah, very, very expensive day at the office as well. Although Nixon's doing well to keep his championship hopes alive, although I don't think if he finishes where he does, 79 points adrift of Ogden, his championship hopes are well and truly over. Here is Cameron Horseman, P17 now for him. It just keeps on going from bad to worse. Unfortunately, this is really bad news for him. What's that flapping off from his bike at the front there? Well, clearly not comfortable in these conditions at all, is he, the 18-year-old?
No, not at all, and he's now unfortunately the last rider in the field who started from the grid. There's only Harry Lee who started from pit lane after that start grid drama, but we'll have to see if something specific has happened to Horseman or if he just feels incredibly uncomfortable in the conditions. But yeah, we'll see if we can
have we
get
had a
any
faller?
replays.
Someone's falling down. That's Ocean Jones falling back through the field, unless he just made a mistake. Yeah, seems as though he had. Oh, is it?
Or has Horseman fallen?
Well,
maybe we're having a bit of a...
Our live timing has decided to give up the ghost. The water's got in the works, that's for
bit
sure.
Of some technical drama, I think, more than for anyone on track. We'll have to see if there has been an incident, if we get any replays. But I think we're okay. We're back to how we were now. So
but he's come to rest at P14, so maybe you just had an absolute disaster.
Bit of a moment, yeah. So as you can see now then, Scott Ogden is pretty comfortably ahead of that squabble for third, and that's exactly where he'll want to be, because he doesn't really need to pay that much attention to Seabright with that huge advantage of 69 points he has over his fellow Brit, but he definitely doesn't want to be taking too many risks in the fight back with these guys, all super eager to stand on the rostrum. And yeah, just exactly what he wants is a fairly solid, safe ride in a clear position for a good haul of points, and that second with that gap behind him is a really, really good job done once again from Scott Ogden, who have to say, although it's been bad luck for that DNF for Horseman, Ogden has been very much the class of the field on quite a few occasions this year, so another solid job from the championship leader.
Yeah, it does seem so, and Shelton's managed to dispatch these guys, it seemed. There he is. I wonder where he'd gone then, just coming all the way over there. Brian Hart just looking as though he's got some issues for Jack Nixon there. Nixon up the inside, very nicely well executed move there at the bottom. I think that's Kevin Schwartz's corner. Now we start the long drag up the hill into this at the end of this second and into the third sector, into the final sector, I should say. And you can really see these riders definitely prefer certainly different lines all throughout. But that is the beauty of the BRNO circuit. We've talked a lot about it on the Grand Prix coverage throughout the weekend. This circuit is so wide, you can have such a choice of lines that you're able to take, and you can still put in the same sector times. Really, really such a unique circuit that we visit on the calendar.
It is, and you have that at the final corner at Sepang, which was actually almost remodeled to give it different camber and give riders different options. But at Burnout, that just naturally happens, and it is a wonderful track here in the Czech countryside. Usually a little bit sunnier than this, got to be honest, but still, yeah, very much a beautiful flowing track, one of the true classics. And I'm sure there's a few guys out here who will be very much enjoying that despite the rain. But Zach Shelton, I'm sure, will be the top of the list of most excitable at the moment. He's now into a podium position like we saw a few seconds ago. And I would be interested to see if he's going to be able to get his claws into Scott Ogden, because last time around, certainly, he was fairly significantly quicker.
Yeah, one of the beauties of the British Talent Cup, following along with the MotoGP World Championship, you get the use of these absolutely stunning high-speed cameras, the very latest tech. Just look at these glorious images there. That was your leader, Fenton Seabright, coming down. And I was hoping he would be in a bit more of a battle, obviously, so I could just be shouting, Fenton! But, you know, maybe we'll get some more luck with that tomorrow or at Silverstone, although there's no guarantee of dry weather there either.
There is never any guarantee of dry weather, I don't think, anywhere in the mainland UK, certainly. But yeah, we've seen some dramas at Silverstone, let's not mention last year. And it could well be similar conditions again at the British Grand Prix. But at the moment, I'm sure that's what Fenton Seabright will probably want, because this is absolute domination from him as we stand at the moment, and I think he's over 10 seconds clear now. Yeah,
although, yeah, so he's clearly taking a little bit easier. I'd be fascinated to, be very interested in seeing what their pit boards are saying at the moment. I wonder if Scott Ogden is aware just what an absolute shocker of a race Cameron Horseman is having down in 17th there. Well, he's well out of the points now. Just he can, if he's going to continue this is absolutely kiss goodbye to the championship by bar an issue for Scott Ogden. But Scott Ogden is being overtaken there by Shelton. Shelton having the race of his life at the moment, moving up into second there, just looking seriously impressive. And with 9 laps to go, we're not even halfway through, Fran. Well, Shelton, if he keeps this up and goes a little bit faster, although 2 seconds faster a lap, he could end up hunting down Seabright. Seems unlikely, but that second place could be well guaranteed.
It really could. Really got a lick on now, has Zach Shelton. That was really impressive. And you could see as he was pulling alongside Ogden just looking to the side like, excuse me, where have you come from? Obviously, he was in such a comfortable position for quite some time, but Shelton's reeled him in incredibly quickly and already starting to pull away from him. And obviously, Nixon and Hart just behind him, probably been watching that and thinking, oh, okay, there is quite a bit of room to push faster here. Push faster. Push harder would be a slightly better
You've been spending
English.
way too long in this MotoGP paddock, Fran.
Ogden's now going to have a bit of company.
Yeah, very much so. Oh, look at that. That is the fastest lap from the race from Shelton. How about that then? So he's really managed to turn a screw there. The first 1:28 that we've seen so far this race. So it could well be on. That is 9/10 of a second quicker than Fenton Seabright's fastest lap. So his crew better be changing his pit board, letting him know that he is being hunted down by Zach Shelton, the man who sits 18th place in the championship. His highest place finish has been a 13th place. He's only done that twice. This is an absolute performance and a half from him.
It really is. He's, yeah, a man possessed at the moment. Obviously, watched some qualifying performances from the big guys today. We won't mention any names.
Well, if he had done that, he would have put
Taking a bit
slicks
of inspiration. But yeah, incredible performance from Shelton at the moment. You can see how much it's raining. Those clear visors are really stunning. And this is Scott Ogden just...
absolutely
focusing.
grinding his knee into the ground,
Yeah.
making sure that front wheel stays fully planted. As he comes
Amazing
through
shot from the
the final
championship
corner.
leader.
See the helmet vibration there. Lots of the riders been talking about how bumpy this circuit is here, although Valentino Rossi put it best and he said, yep, it's been this bumpy ever since I first came here in 1996. Actually, it's been so consistently bumpy, every single bump has its own name. So nothing's changed. Get on with it, everybody.
And he would know, having taken his first Grand Prix win here, pretty much just after you were born.
Yep, not too long after I was born, that's for sure.
I'm sorry, I always do this.
Yeah.
It's not that much.
You're not that much older than me either, so, you know.
Just enough to feel a little bit superior on occasion.
You're only
But,
just out of nappies by the time I was born.
It's Fenton
that's a bit
Seabright then in the lead. A bit of a little wobble there. You can see he's really not slacking off, is Seabright in the lead, but got a very, very comfortable gap. It was still just over 10 seconds last time around, although, like we said, Shelton has been the faster man on track. It was a little bit less of a deficit that Seabright had to his best lap time last time around.
Well,
so we'll have to see how that keeps going, but with 8 laps to go, I think it's a bit of a tall order.
Yeah, 8 laps to go, nearly halfway through the race or so, and just going to be looking down the standings and give a couple of shout-outs to some other special riders. We've got Jamie Lyons there, who is pulling a bit of a Zach Shelton, not quite of the same feather though. He's in 17th place in the championship, 1 place ahead of Zach, but he has also actually managed to score 7 points in one race. That was back in Donington, but he's putting in a pretty solid performance as well, up in a 7th place. Hopefully I'm not going to be... he's just coming into the back of our picture there just quite. He's crossed the finish line just now. Did the number 6. Ahead of him, though, the number 15, Rhys Irwin. He was on the front row of the grid, up into third. He's been swamped a little bit, but this is by no means disgracing himself. He's just the 6 seconds adrift from Sean Ogden and Zach Shelton, who is pulling away from that second group.
He is Sean Ogden, though. Scott Ogden, come on, head of the game.
Who is Sean Ogden? Oh, goodness, he's a photographer from motocross. My goodness, some guy I follow on Instagram.
He's doing very well to do 2 jobs at once and lead the BTC. But, yeah, we can see now Ogden has a bit of a challenge on his hands now if he is to keep that podium run going. But, yeah, some serious company now from Jack Nixon just behind him. But he'll just need to stay calm, and especially, like we were saying earlier, be very interesting to see what information Ogden is getting on his pit board re-key rival Cameron Horseman, because everyone loves a full set of podiums throughout a season, but it's really not worth taking the risk if Horseman is going to remain where he is at the moment and not score points, for Ogden to get involved in a scrap with Nixon and take too much risk, and then potentially the gap could remain the same if he doesn't score either.
Yeah, it could well happen. It's all about risk versus reward today. I don't think we've seen many more examples than we'll see throughout the rest of the season of risk versus reward rides.
Or maybe just throughout the rest of the sport, until
forever.
the end of time.
It's been absolutely ridiculous. So, yes, if he's got that information, it's up to him now. Do you want to sit back and take it easy? Make sure you're not doing anything silly. Bag those points, because you can take it fairly soon in the championship if you carry on this sort of form, and so does Cameron. or does he want to go for all the glory as well? But it seems as though he's letting Shelton get away from him, but he's got real company from Nixon just behind him. He's that Brian Hart there just behind him, and Irwin. They've got their own little battle going on here.
They have, yeah, and then it's a bit of a gap back to Jamie Lyons, and then another gap back to Jamie Davis. So it could well come down to these guys we've just been seeing on screen, these top 6. There could be plenty change still in the fight for the podium, because it can often change quite a lot in the wet. And we'll also have to see if it does stop raining, or if the rain gets any heavier, and how the conditions change as well, because that can change everything pretty quickly.
Yeah, we talk a lot about, Fran, how the British Talent Cup that is on the Road to MotoGP programme, and it's not just about the guys who are winning. If you necessarily win, it doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be the one who reaps the rewards and is the one who is taken on by so many of the riders. They look for some real special performances and potential there throughout all the ages of the riders. And I'm thinking, Zach Shelton, this is the sort of ride which really turns some heads, especially the likes of Alberto Puig, who's been involved in this in the past, and looking at them thinking, that guy has got something. Yeah,
it's very, very impressive from a rookie. Obviously, a lot less pressure with the championship and everything else, but now put himself in a position of extreme pressure with this incredible performance so far. On for a first podium, just has to keep everything together. But yeah, really, really great stuff from him. And it's always great to see how the rain can change things. Obviously, like we said, Brno, also a new venue. That can give it a bit of a shuffle as well. So yeah, Zach Shelton at the moment to be rider of the day, I think, for me. Seabright, not to take anything away from him.
We've seen it before. Bored now.
He is experienced at being dominant at times. So yeah, incredibly impressive, but he is no rookie. And that is serving him well, that experience at the moment, as he continues to just wind in the laps around Burnout and just keep that advantage at a steady sort of 9-10 seconds.
It does seem as though that Zach Shelton might well be missing out on potentially getting a win as well, because his lap times are really steady too. They are quicker than Fenton Seabright, but not quick enough with the amount of laps that we have left at this moment. The last time around, they're only split by about a 1/10 and a half. So it seems as though Fenton Seabright, should he not do anything silly, which we did see last time out in Snetterton, this could be his for the taking.
Yeah, definitely. He will have that at the forefront of his mind, I am very sure. Absolute heartbreak. It wasn't even into the final corner. It was out of the final corner.
He'd done it.
Pretty much the last possible moment at which you can have a bit of a disaster, barring any mechanical sudden failures. So Fenton will very much be looking to get back on the top step and avoid anything similar here. So you can see Shelton now, and like we said, the lap times have evened out quite a lot throughout the field, and I did just have a quick look out our back door again, and it stopped raining, and certainly if it is raining, it's not that visible anymore, and I don't have the time to stand there and count the drops for 30-40 seconds.
Well,
but it's definitely improving back there, so Shelton then might be coming under a little bit more threat from those guys behind him as the conditions improve.
Oh, I don't think they'll be improving too much unless we get in some sort of heat wave. There's definitely no sign of any dry line forming there, although the sun is out. Can dry fairly quickly, but unfortunately not got those big fat Michelin tyres of the MotoGP guys thundering around with all that horsepower going through the rear wheel. He's measly, still far more powerful than I can handle. Moto3 bikes could not be able to do that.
No, they wouldn't, but wet tyres obviously are a engineering project in themselves to be able to clear the amount of water they can, and these guys on their Dunlops have definitely made a bit of a difference to the track surface. You can see it does look drier and there's no more rain coming down, but yeah, I think a dry line is going to be out of the question.
Yeah, completely, especially looking at some of those puddles around there as well. Yeah, looks like Shelton could even be reeled in with the 5 laps to go. These guys, like the proverbial greyhound to the rabbit ahead of him. Ogden, the championship leader, with Nixon just behind him. We're coming down into Kevin Schwantz corner now, and that gap has really closed in yet again. And actually, on that lap, Zach Shelton was the only rider in the top 15 who didn't set a personal best lap time. So could he be falling back a little bit? Could there be another twist in the tail as we click down with 5 laps to go? You never know with the British Talent Cup.
You never do know, and as the conditions do change, like we said, you can see as well the sun. I don't know if you call it sunny, but it's certainly a lot brighter out there. And these guys, although the gaps aren't sort of, you know, Dovi Marquez Qatar last lap tiny, they're certainly close enough together for all this to shuffle an awful lot in the remaining 5 laps of this race.
Yeah, totally agree there. And there's significantly less spray when there's a bit more of a gap here. It looks like Rhys Irwin has got the better of, who's that in the background? Brian Hart, sorry. So it looks like he's got the better of him. Could he be hunting these guys down as well? There's 5 laps to go, but 5 very, very long laps to go as well. And all they need is to be picking up that confidence as we go. But one man who has not picked up any confidence as this race has gone on, and we're 20 minutes into it, he's had a full, near enough 20-minute practice session at this. Cameron Horseman still in 17th place.
Yeah, it'd be very, very interesting to catch up with Cameron after this race and see what exactly has happened, whether he's had some sort of issue that we're not aware of, or if it is just confidence in the wet, or just, yeah, not used to these conditions, whatever it may be. Try and find out, but a difficult day for him, certainly, and especially with Ogden. All right, he's in 3rd at the moment, but it looks very likely that that could become 2nd at the rate he's closed back in on Zach Shelton, and that's going to be a bit of a tough blow to take for Cameron Horseman as we tick into the final 3 races of the season from tomorrow.
I think Zach Shelton knows that he's being caught because he's going all the way over the racing line, making sure these guys can't really catch a slipstream. And just we saw there, Rhys Irwin set the fastest lap of the race on that time around. First of all, it was Scott Ogden who set the fastest lap of the race with that 1:28.485, but then 2:47, sorry, I should say, was Rhys Irwin's fastest lap. There it is on your screen. So he's the man on the move at the moment. This race is far from done. Bear with us, because this final 4 laps of the first race here at the Czech Republic is going to be getting seriously hot. And these 3 are all together now. It's a group once again.
It most definitely is a group, and you can see as well, just behind these 3, Rhys Irwin not that far away at all, and then Brian Hart as well, although he's been passed by the Irishman, still not too far away to get involved in this as the conditions do keep improving. So I think we're going to have a pretty grandstand finish for this podium battle.
Yeah, could well do that, and it's by no means won either by Fenton Seabright. Still got to reach the checker flag, something which he failed to do, as we mentioned before, last time out, although it was a very different situation as he was battling with Cameron Horseman all the way to the line. He'd actually just taken him on that final lap, down under the bridge into the bomb hole, I think it was, and unfortunately, well, pressure got to him on the exit of it. Cameron Horseman managed to get him, although if I see rightly, I think Cameron Horseman's quite a bit bigger than him, and I don't think he would have got him on the line with a slipstream.
Yeah, I think it was just pushing a little bit too much than, yeah, just a little bit more than he needed to, because, yeah, Seabright, I think, would have won that drag to the line. But, yeah, just the exit of the final corner, like we said, heartbreaker of a place to go down, and Horseman managed to avoid, and then it ultimately took that win. But I don't think there's going to be much chance of a repeat today. Seabright seems very much in control, and obviously no one snapping at his heels today either.
Well, Rhys Irwin has definitely caught the back of these guys now. The group has gone from 3 to 4, and they can get in that slipstream now, although it looks like Zach Shelton is doing everything he can to make sure these guys do not get in this slipstream to give them any chance of overtaking him into the final corner, the final complex, I should say, right here, turning into turn 13. It's actually a blind entry to that corner there. It's very difficult to know where to brake at the best of times in the wet, but especially when you're coming over the blind brow of a hill.
Yeah, I always think about the Pedrosa versus Lorenzo 2012 race around there. And like we said earlier, BRNO really is a stunning track, and that's quite a way to end the lap. And Seabright's gone through then, this battle has gone through, and it was Irwin once again who was the fastest man on track. And we've still got then coming up next Jamie Lyons, who's in that lonely 7th place. It must be a little bit of a damp squib sometimes when you're on for your best ever finish, but you've not really had that sort of adrenaline of the group fight at all. Just putting in those laps in the rain, it's all about concentration.
Yeah, I would say it depends on the situation, doesn't it, as well? I would he would be absolutely delighted if he's able to get that first podium, I'm sure of it. But as we see here, he's coming under a lot of threat. Scott Ogden really hunting him down there. He's right on his tail, it seems. 3 laps to go here. Jack Nixon, what can he do? And he really does veer over to the other side of the track.
Yeah, I'm impressed Shelton's not giving it up yet, though. He did get closed in on fairly quickly, but at the moment still holding firm in that 2nd place. And this is a very different kettle of fish to just being quite a lot faster than the guys you're chasing in conditions that you've obviously... Oh, I thought he was going to go for it then.
He was going to make a move.
But no, wily old foxes Scott Ogden knew that that could potentially be a bit of a disaster, not only for the rookie ahead of him. Well, in this championship, I think it counts when you've done the things Ogden has done this season, always shown great maturity in racing, but he looks like he's very much stalking Shelton now. But Shelton, like I was saying, this is a different kettle of fish. He's got to now withstand this pressure, try and defend, also decide he's still going to get an incredible finish, even if these three guys all barrel past him. But at the moment as well, with that podium on the line, it's a lot of thinking to do when you're also trying to concentrate on making zero mistakes around a very wet BRNO.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree with that. Scott Ogden knows all about the pressure. Last time out, I think both races here where he qualified was down in 19th place. He crashed in Stetson. Didn't actually manage to get a lap in, I think, in the session. So that left him all the way down. But I think even by the end of the first lap, he picked off 10 places or so, finished on the podium both times. This guy knows how to keep a cool head coming into any sort of situation. It'll be interesting to see if he can get ahead of Shelton there.
It will be. Like I just said, wily old fox. Apparently it's not okay when I say it. But
I didn't say it.
it was a great performance from Ogden under intense pressure. Yes, self-created, but intense pressure in the races there at Snetterton with, like you said, that disastrous qualifying. And yeah, certainly in race one, I think he was up to 10th or 11th straight off the line almost. So, well, by the end of lap one anyway, really, really incredible performance from him there. And yeah, you could see it as one of the defining moments of the championship if he does go on to win the cup. And with the situation as we see it now in race one here at BRNO, it's looking ever more likely as Cameron Horseman is now behind Harry Lee, I think.
Yeah,
at least on the graphics, who started from pit lane. So we really do need to know what's happened to that number 23 out there today.
Something's gone very wrong, but Scott Ogden has made his move up into second place there. As for some reason my microphone just went completely down. I don't know if he still heard me at all there, but yeah, Scott Ogden up into second place once again. He's hunted down Zach Shelton, but he has got big company. Zach Shelton's going to make a move straight back at him down into Kevin Schwartz's corner. He is. He's gone ahead of him, but is he going to break in time? Is he going to go a little bit wide? Be very careful indeed. He has. What a move that was from Zach.
Yeah, that's nice. It's always great when you see a rookie get to take on the championship leader, but great stuff from Shelton then to attack straight back, and nice move as well, nice and calm. And now you can see Irwin attacking Nixon as well there. So it looks like these guys are going to have a pretty feisty final 2 laps to this race. And Shelton then able to just pull out a couple of bike lengths immediately on Ogden. And Irwin already looking to make a move on the number 4 ahead of him. So they have to be careful now.
Oh, they touched there nearly. Oh, that was so close. Thank you for sticking with us, because this final part of the British Talent Cup race here, the first one here at the BRNO, it's going to be very tasty. Look at that. Looks like Scott's going to get nabbed by Jack Nixon as well. He does. Well, this is probably one of where he thinks, I want to sit back here and not get wiped out because I've got such a lead over my championship rival.
Yeah, that was, I literally just said escape and no. Immediately got pounced on there, and Ogden now they're back in 5th. I have to see what he'll do. I doubt very much, with more than a lap to go, that he's going to sit in 5th and say, okay, I need these points. But yeah, down in 5th at the moment, and suddenly got just pounced on by those guys. But I'm sure he'll be looking to calmly make his way back through there, but it's given Shelton a bit of breathing space after he got attacked by the championship leader a few corners ago.
Well, big thanks to Scott Ogden for making us eat our words. We were just saying how he can withstand any sort of pressure, and then the very next set of corners he gets absolutely duffed up by 3 riders, unfortunately. And look at that, Zach Shelton, the man who's not been experienced really at all to being in this sort of position, is the one coming into the final lap in 2nd place. Meanwhile, the leader at the moment, Fenton Seabright, just looking absolutely unshakable out there.
Very much so. 8.4 seconds it was over the line. So he's lost a bit of that advantage, but with so much time to spare almost. Seabright, he has time to do one of the classic Lorenzo celebrations of the popcorn at Le Mans, and still see the guys coming around behind him. It's an incredible gap and performance from the number 22, but this podium fight is going to keep us very entertained on this last lap, I think.
Absolutely. Scott Ogden moves up the inside. He's up into 4th again, though, but looks like Jack Nixon going to go up the inside yet again. He does. Scott Ogden really wants this. He decided he doesn't want to play it safe. What are you talking about, Matt? He's not listening to us in the commentary box one little bit. Look at that, though. Zach Shelton just keeping well out of the way, but Rhys Irwin, man, he's been setting fastest lap after fastest lap. Made his way up from 3rd on the grid, got bumped down a little bit outside the top 6, and he's back into 3rd again.
Yeah, the Irishman has had some impressive aggression, not usually too far over a line this season, and now he's honing in on rookie Shelton. So Got to be careful out there, guys. The conditions are still very difficult, but it's Ogden again then who's lost out there and is back down in 5th.
Yeah, it really is, but Fenton Seabright want to know how he's getting on that gap to the front. It's come down a little bit to 8 seconds with Zach Shelton there. I'm sure that Fenton Seabright just taking a bit easy. He doesn't want to throw this one away. That championship is still available, especially if Ogden is getting duffed up. We're coming to the bottom of the hill now. Then we start the climb, and it's a climb all the way back to the finish line here. What a race this has been. A proper game of chess. Such smart heads on such young shoulders.
Yeah, really impressive from these guys. We've hardly had any crashes. I think we've had one for Harvey Claridge, unfortunately for him. But yeah, we said it might be a bit of a race of attrition, but not so, certainly so far. But these guys still so close together, and everything keeps changing so much corner by corner. But it's Shelton still at the moment on for that first ever podium in 2nd, but those guys are so close together and so close to him.
Yeah, well, it looks as though we're going to be coming around the final corner and seeing what's where Fenton Seabright take the win. But look at this, the final corner. Nixon goes up the inside of Irwin, but has he got him on the cutback? He has. Oh, we thought, well, Fenton's going to take the win, but we want to see what's happened coming out the final corner. Take us away from Seabright. I want to see these guys. Who is it? It's been a crash. Who was it? Oh, it looks like it was Shelton. Oh, coming across the line. It is Nixon who takes 2nd from Irwin. Oh, please. Oh, it was. Oh, my heart's broken. Oh, poor Zach Shelton, the race of his life. It's over at the final corner. We missed it. I'm so upset by that. That really is such a shame. Here they are then. Fenton Seabright takes the win in spectacular fashion, but not quite so spectacular fashion as 2nd place was taken by Jack Nixon, 8 seconds adrift. Rhys Irwin, in terms of action, he takes 3rd place. Scott Ogden, the championship leader, was 4th from Brian Hart. Jamie Lyons, a great ride from him, nearly equals Zach Shenton's from earlier on. And then behind him we had Charlie Farrett, Davis, Hart, and then we had Ross Maguire, Corey Tinker, Edward O'Shea, Ocean Jones, Charlie Atkins, Harry Lee, and Cameron Horseman, the only rider who finished outside the points.